Hi. So today we are starting rotations. What I want you to know is, first off, make sure that you write at least this part down. This is the rule for rotations. Rotations can be very confusing for some students because of the fact that not only are we changing a sign, but we're also changing the order of the numbers. Now, a couple things to know about rotations. A rotation is a turn. Essentially, we're going to take the shape. Just like with translations and with reflections, it doesn't change size. Stays, all the side lengths stay the same, angle measures stay the same. It just turns how it is on the screen. Now, when you rotate something, you can either go what is called clockwise, which is the same direction the hands on a clock move, or what we're going to be focusing on in 8th grade is turning counterclockwise, which is backwards compared to the clock. Now, a 90-degree turn, if you think about it, 90 degrees in the grand scheme of a circle, 180 degrees is all the way around. Or not 180, I'm sorry. 360 degrees is all the way around. Well, 90 degrees is one turn. So it's going from here to here. What happens when I go from here to here in a turn is, if you notice, this is my y-axis right here. This is my x-axis right here. When I turn both of these, this line now moves down here. So what was the x now becomes the y. What was the y now becomes the x, and this y moves into the negative x. The x was already negative, so it's staying negative, but the y now becomes the x. Since it becomes negative, it changes signs. Now, here's how that works. If I've got the ordered pair xy, the y will change signs, but it will also switch places with the x. So let me give you an example with numbers just so you can kind of have something to look at. If I've got the ordered pair, oh my goodness, this is not cooperating today. So sorry, people. If I've got the ordered pair 3, 2, under this rule, my 2 is the y, my 3 is the x. The 2 is going to change signs, and then it's going to swap places with the x. So this would become -2, 3. That's how the 90-degree rule works for clockwise rotations or counterclockwise rotations. And it is acting like one turn on the graph. So give me a sec to erase all my writings, and then we'll do an actual Desmos example so you can see with a picture kind of how all of that looks. Thank you for being patient with me. I missed my screen at school where it would let me do this. All right. So here's our example. The example says, in the box below, use the rule for a 90-degree counterclockwise rotation around the origin to write the ordered pairs of polygon A, B, C, D. Be sure to use parentheses and label each ordered pair with the appropriate, that should say letter. We're going to pretend like the word letter is there. Then click and drag each point on the graph to show what the image would look like after a 90-degree counterclockwise rotation around the origin. So first things first, in the box, remember my rule said x, y turns into -y, x. So point A. Point A is at -6, 2. The rule says the 2 is the y, so the 2 becomes negative, and then it goes first, and the -6 comes second. So the x stays the same, it just switches places with the y, and the y changes signs. Now, point B. B is starting, at -5, 4. So according to that rule, the 4 is the y, so the 4 becomes negative and switches places with the x, which is already a -5. C says negative 3, 3. So according to that rule, the second 3 is positive, so it's going to switch signs to a negative, and then switch places with the x. And then D, starting out at negative 2, 1, the new D would be the 1 becomes negative and switch places with the x. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to graph them over here. Point A is at negative 2, 6. I still had a lot of questions about students being a little bit confused about remembering how to plot a point. So here's how this works. If I am moving point A to negative 2, 6, I'm going to grab A and come back to 0. Negative 2 means I'm going to go left 2, and then the negative 6 means I'm going to go down 6. So negative 2, 6 is right here. Point B, we're going to move to negative 4, 5. So grab point B, come back to the 0, go backwards 4, and then I'm going to go down 5. Point C is at negative 3, negative 3. So if I grab the 0 and go, or grab C, go to the 0, go back 3, and down 3. And then point D is at negative 1, negative 2. So come back to 0, go back 1, and down 2. So now you can see my shape stayed the same size. It just turned. So it went from here down there 90 degrees counterclockwise, or 1 turn. Point D is still pointing towards the origin, so it's still pointing towards the origin in the copy. Point C was still kind of in the middle of the square up here, so it's still about in the same place. Point A is still past the 5, and it's 2 away from the x, so it's still past the 5, and now it's 2 away from the y. So this is what you need to do for your assignment today. You're going to do a problem similar to this. Make sure we hit submit. Make sure you take a screenshot of your page for the Echo assignment so that you get credit. Again, if you need to watch this again, watch this again. Rotations can be very tricky. Often I make at least 1 or 2 mistakes when I do problems on rotations just because there's multiple things I have to do. Let us know if you have any questions, and we'll talk soon.